I was checking in for my finally booked flight home when the desk agent looked at my passport and frowned. She called over a supervisor, who looked at it and called over another supervisor. That's when they told me my passport was expiring the next day. I'd been so focused on the flight and hotel disasters that I'd completely forgotten to check my passport expiration date. Most countries require your passport to be valid for at least 6 months beyond your travel dates, but I'd been cutting it close and hadn't even realized it. The Italian authorities informed me that while they couldn't prevent me from leaving Italy, the United States might not let me back in with an expired passport. The airline refused to let me board without confirmation that US Customs would accept me. I was stuck in legal limbo at Rome Airport. I spent 8 hours at the airport going back and forth between different officials, trying to get someone to guarantee that I could return to my own country. The US Embassy was closed for the weekend, the airline wouldn't take responsibility, and Italian immigration said it wasn't their problem once I left their country. Finally, a sympathetic airport official suggested I could try flying to a different US city and hope that customs there would be more lenient. This meant buying another expensive last-minute ticket and gambling that I wouldn't be detained upon arrival. The only available flight was to Miami with a connection through London. I bought the ticket with money I'd borrowed from a credit card cash advance, adding even more debt to this disaster vacation. But when I got to London for my connection, British immigration pulled me aside. Apparently, traveling with an about-to-expire passport and no return ticket from your original destination raises suspicions that you're trying to illegally immigrate. They questioned me for 3 hours, searched my luggage again, and almost denied me entry for the layover. I had to show them my entire email chain of canceled flights, missed connections, and rebookings to prove that I was actually just a very unlucky tourist trying to get home. They finally let me through, but I missed my connection to Miami and had to wait another 12 hours in London. British Airways put me up in an airport hotel, which was the first piece of good luck I'd had in a week. I finally got to shower, sleep in a real bed, and call my family to explain why I'd been basically unreachable for days. The flight to Miami was delayed because of weather, and when I finally arrived, US Customs pulled me aside immediately. The expired passport issue was just as problematic as everyone had warned. They questioned me for 2 hours, verified my identity through multiple databases, and almost sent me back to London. A supervisor finally decided to let me into the country, but flagged my passport for immediate renewal. I had to sign paperwork acknowledging that I couldn't travel internationally again until I got a new passport, which would take several weeks. But the travel nightmare wasn't over yet. My original return flight had been to a different city, so all my airport parking and transportation arrangements were wrong. I was stuck in Miami with no way to get back to my home city and no money left for domestic flights. I ended up taking a Greyhound bus for 26 hours, which was actually more expensive than flying would have been if I'd booked in advance. The bus broke down twice, we were delayed for hours at multiple stops, and I arrived home 3 days later than planned. The total cost of my budget vacation ended up being nearly triple what I'd originally budgeted. Between replacement flights, train tickets, extra hotel nights, emergency credit card advances, and the bus trip home, I'd spent more money getting home than I'd spent on the entire original trip. I missed a week of work dealing with the travel delays, lost several $100s in non-refundable bookings, and racked up credit card debt that took me months to pay off. The 4 days I actually spent in Rome were mostly consumed with solving practical problems rather than enjoying the vacation. The experience taught me several expensive lessons about travel planning. First, never book through third-party sites for international travel. The savings aren't worth the headaches when things go wrong. Second, always check passport expiration dates well in advance. Third, budget airlines have policies that can completely destroy your trip over minor delays. Most importantly, I learned that travel insurance isn't just for medical emergencies. Trip interruption coverage would have saved me thousands of dollars and days of stress. The small extra cost would have been worth it for the peace of mind alone. I also discovered that customer service for travel companies basically disappears when you need them most. None of the companies involved took responsibility for the cascading failures that turned a simple vacation into a week-long crisis. The worst part was that I'd been looking forward to this trip for months. I'd researched activities, learned basic Italian phrases, and planned out an itinerary that would have been amazing if anything had gone according to plan. Instead, I spent most of the trip in customer service hell, trying to solve one crisis after another. It took me almost a year to pay off the debt from that vacation, and I didn't take another international trip for 2 years afterward. When I finally did travel again, I overplanned everything, bought comprehensive insurance, and booked directly with airlines and hotels. The irony is that if I just paid the normal prices for flights and hotels instead of trying to find budget deals, the trip would have cost less overall and actually been enjoyable. Sometimes trying to save money ends up being the most expensive option.